So this is Rickard for PokerTube, and I'm sitting here with Howard Lederer. How are you, Howard?
I'm doing great. How you doing?
Yeah, just fine. So you are in Vegas now, right?
Mm-hmm.
How's
Yeah.
things in Vegas?
Vegas is great. Weather's just starting to get nice here, late April, and actually we're having a little family reunion this weekend, so there are a lot of people in town.
Yeah, I guess
Yeah.
I think a lot of people know it already, but for I mean, you have some family in the business as well.
Well, yeah, obviously. Yeah, my sister, uh, Annie's been playing, and she's certainly had her fair share of success. She has a bracelet, and the Tournament of Champions win. And obviously her her national heads up
Yeah,
championship this year. So yeah, she's certainly a well-known player in some ways, more well-known than me.
yeah.
Uh,
What
you know,
what would you
I,
say? I mean, it's hard to say. You've always been sister and brother, I think, and of course, and who would be the better player if you rank yourself with her?
well, I feel like I'm the better player. I mean, I'm not going to say that I'm not. Uh, I was playing professionally since the early '80s, and then she was just looking for something to do after college in the mid '90s, and I just said, why don't you come out to Vegas? And she started playing some cheap games, dollar two type games, but she really showed some nice flashes. And I gave her her first stake. She actually moved with her new husband to Montana. They've got poker and bars there, sort of legal poker and bars, and she just started playing. She kept and she would call me every night after she played.
Discussing hands and so on, or what?
Yes, yes, and you know, just more and more, after the first few months, the question, my answers started becoming it depends.
Mm.
And that's when I knew that she could be a good player. When the question stopped being easy to answer.
I see. Yeah, obviously. Is this something in your genes you think that makes you? What in your family or background makes you having a better chance to become better players?
Yeah, well, I don't know about the genes. I guess there's some competitive genes there with the parents, but you know, those genes did create a very competitive environment in the house.
Hmm.
So and it was tough on Andy because I was 2 years older than her. So we'd be playing, Monopoly and Risk and various card games, sort of on the family room floor competing against each other, but I was 9 and she was 7.
Mm.
So that's tough, so she lost a lot
Mm.
early. But I think it toughened her up. And my parents never lost intentionally to us either. So, we would have some tough family wars there. One of my favorite stories to tell about chess is my dad was a fair chess player. I mean, certainly now looking back on it, when I was a kid, he seemed like the greatest chess player ever because I could never beat him. And at some point, I started taking chess seriously. Read a book here or there. Started really like, hey, Dad, let's play. And we'd play 1 or 2 games a night. Like I was like, when I get into something, I really get into something. And we would play, and he beat me like the first 30 games we played. Just kicked my butt, and showed me no mercy. And then I won like the 31st game we played.
Hmm.
Um, and then the 32nd game, I beat him pretty soundly, and he quit me for life. He beat me 30 in a row. He lost 2, and he had enough. Now he spins the tale now. Well, son, I had nothing more to teach you. So so what was the point of us playing anymore?
I see.
You know.
And
So
did you go on and play tougher opponents? And how far did you go with your chess?
yeah, I mean, one thing which might lend a little credence actually to his story was he did kind of go out there, in the town where I grew up, Concord, New Hampshire, and kind of, find a couple of guys that were pretty good. And I started playing with them. So certainly they were a lot better than he was, and they were able to take my game farther. At some point right after high school, um, I, I took a year off from college, and I really took the game seriously. I wanted to become a chess master. And that's actually a goal I never achieved. I mean, it's misreported in the media that I became a chess master, but actually my highest rating was a little over 2100. I feel like I was playing about master strength right at the end. My rating hadn't quite caught up. But there was this poker game in the back room of this chess club. And basically at some point, I was going, now wait a second, I can play this weekend tournament and try and beat a couple of international masters, and I did beat one or two of them, but maybe I could win $50, or I could play in this little $3-6 poker game, and if I have a good night, I could win 300 or 400.
Yeah, excellent.
Yeah, and so certainly, at some point, look, I was a pretty good chess player, but I wasn't going to become a world beater. And it just felt like I had a little more talent in poker, and really enjoyed it.
I played quite a few rounds and some teams chess myself, and one of the reasons I quit was that I was a bit scared of it, because it's so vast and big that it sort of ate my brain. I thought it was like taking up a lot of space, and I knew a lot of more space in my brain was needed to be even better, and then I couldn't do much other things. Is that something you thought of?
It really becomes a very obsessive game, I think, in a lot of ways, because, in some ways, in sort of a game theory way of looking at it, chess, isn't a game. The great John von Neumann, who wrote the original book, The Theory of Games, he was the original game theorist. He didn't feel like chess was a game because it was solvable.
Exactly.
And so, because it's this game where there is such a thing as perfect play, then it's the person that sort of more obsessively attempts to duplicate what would be perfect play and does the best job of imitating perfect play. But in some ways, you're just calculating, all the information is available to you on the board. And this isn't to say, chess is a great game.
I agree.
But it's not a game in a game theory sense. And what John von Neumann was talking about was what chess lacks is what he calls the second guess. And people second guess themselves all the time in poker, and that's not what he's talking about. What he's talking about in the second guess is poker is a game where, by definition, your play can only be correct if you are guessing what your opponent's strategy would be, right? So you're going, well, I think my opponent probably has this kind of a hand. And then you can decide on a particular play, let's say a bluff. You put them on a weak pair. Well, that bluff only works if you've correctly decided, or you've correctly figured out that your opponent will fold his weak pair. Exactly. So you can know what he has, and you can make what in many situations would be a good play, but if your opponent makes the hero call with the small pair, right, you failed on the second guess part of it. And that kind of element in chess isn't there.
I know. So it's sort of a limit to it in some ways.
Right. Yeah. Whereas in poker, there really isn't a limit to it. And but I do think poker then becomes much more about just thinking about the game, kind of thinking about your opponents, and being much more sort of in the moment at the table. Whereas chess is all about the preparation. It's all about this, just even when you're not playing games against other people, you're studying and you're looking at other games, and it's just a different kind of thing. I don't think it was for me in terms of trying to become world class. I think poker suited me much better.
That's good. No, and you can also say, compare it to, let's say, tennis or something, and you play against a world class player, you have more or less no chance if you're not very, very good. There's no game at all. You can play poker against anyone. You can beat the world champion any day.
Yes, and look, a weak poker player against a world class poker player has no chance as well. But it's not no chance every hand or no chance every hour.
That's right.
Right. So we get the benefit. Us poker pros get the benefit of the fact that it is a game of a mixture of skill and luck, and that's what allows these amazing things like 5,000, 6,000 player tournaments to happen here in Vegas once a year.
Yeah. So when did you have a rich background, or did you start to build your way up through poker, you would say? Money-wise?
Yeah, I mean, look, I was playing, very cheap poker. I was playing 25 cents a dollar at the start. Eventually moved up to the 3-6 game at this chess club.